Hi everyone, and welcome to another speed build. Today I have yet another tiny build for you all. This one is supposed to be a smaller home for a family of 5, and it's not technically a tiny home, I guess, because it does fall into the tier 3 that came with the new tiny home residential lot trait that we got with tiny living. So that was the tier that was called small. So it is on the bigger side of a tiny home since it was the category that had to be under 100 tiles. But it still ended up being pretty cramped for being a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. So there definitely were spots where I just had to cramp things in and try to work things out, but it wasn't really too bad overall. But the general idea of this build is to have this central living area. So that's just that area going between those 2 doors you see and that whole area with the glass roof. So that's where the living and dining room is. And then off to the side of that, you have the bedrooms and the bathroom, and then the kitchen is also in that area. And I got the inspiration to do that when I was just looking for ideas for different tiny homes. And I saw this one that was basically a sunroom. It's basically 2 tiny homes that were connected by a sunroom. And I just thought it looked so cool. I love the idea of that. I wasn't exactly able to replicate that though, because we of course don't have windows that fit into the roof line that come with the game. I know there's custom content that does that, but I didn't want to use that for this build. So it doesn't really quite have that full-on sunroom look, but it still has somewhat of that indoor-outdoor feel to it because I did use the same wallpaper that I ended up using on the outside of the house in there. So that definitely adds to that. And I'll try to remember to put a link to a picture of that inspiration house in the description. I might forget because, as I've discussed in recent builds, I am going to be going on vacation. So when this is going up, I'll be a week deep into that vacation. So things are pretty hectic right now. So I might forget, but hopefully I'll remember and it'll be there. So yeah, if you're interested in looking at that, just check in the description and hopefully I haven't forgotten to do that. This build also has a little bit of a mid-century modern style to it, which I think fits in really well with this part of Oasis Springs since you do see houses in that style throughout this world. And it is a very simple structure. I know it's basically just a rectangle with some windows and doors on it, but sometimes it's kind of nice to try to take a simple structure and dress it up a little bit and make it look more interesting. And these windows and doors from Island Living also work so well for this house because when you use them in that black swatch, they definitely have more of a modern feel to them. Here I'm just going through the debug menu and picking up various plants from that to put into these boxes. I've been really into using plants from the debug menu lately, and I was just trying to find ones that looked like the plants that you see in the world around this lot because I really like doing that to make it look like the lot's better to fit into the surrounding world. And I also found these rocks in the menu, so I thought these would be perfect to further tie this lot in with the world around it. And this house definitely has less of an eco living off the land kind of a vibe than the last 2 tiny homes that I made did. So this one is more so just a family home that happens to be really small, and through that, it's of course going to be a little bit more environmentally friendly. But I really like the vaulted ceilings that this house has because due to having the glass roof there, it made it so the roofing in the rest of the house has that vaulted look because I had to place that glass roof over the entire house. And doing that took away that flooring under the roof that would be in the rest of the house. And normally, if this wasn't a tiny home, I would just go in and place flooring above it to replace that. But doing that, unfortunately, counts towards the tile count. So, we can't get out of the tier by just doing that. So I just had to deal with it being this kind of vaulted ceiling thing in all of the rooms and work around that, which I was a bit frustrated by at first, but in the end, I think it's going to be something that looks really cool, and I am looking forward to getting the fly-through shots for this house just so that I can see how all of those different kinds of ceilings look, like this glass one, and even the ones in just the regular rooms. But at this point, we're done with the front of the house, so I'm just moving around to the back to do the same thing with these planter boxes. And since this is supposed to be a family home, I wanted to add some family fun type activities to the backyard. So we just have that swimming pool there, and then I also had a swing set in. This is a fairly small yard since this was built on a 20 by 15 lot. So I wasn't able to fit a whole lot in here, but I tried to do what I could with the space. We've also got a grill out here on the patio as well as some outdoor dining. So there is actually quite a bit of seating in this house. I probably could have gone away with not putting a dining table on the inside, but I don't know, that we had the space for it, so I figured why not have two of those tables. So we are all done with the exterior, so now I'm working on the interior. And originally I was gonna have the dining room be where the kitchen is off to the side, but I realized it just made so much more sense to have the dining room in this open area rather than trying to figure out where on earth I'm gonna put counters in here. So yeah, that was a no-brainer to change the layout to that. But here I'm just furnishing the living area. So we just got the couch, the couches and the chairs right as you walk in the door. And then down towards the end there is, of course, where the dining room is. And with this house, I really wanted to make something that was colorful, and I wanted to push myself a little bit with like using more of a variety of colors and trying some different color schemes. So here in the living area, we have this mixture of purples and blues and reds, and the purples and reds are not colors that I would typically put together, but I really like how it came out. And then I found this rug from Get Famous. So I replaced the one from Tiny Living that I was originally using with that because that's a swatch of that one that I don't really use, and it just fit in so perfectly with the living room. And then we got this other swatch of that same rug here under the dining table. I just really like the funky, colorful, like color scheme that this house has. And here I was just trying to make sure that light looked like it was actually attached to the ceiling. And that was a thing that I had to keep in mind throughout the rest of the build, because initially I was just placing the lights in, just kind of having them where they snap to normally. But then once I got further into it, I realized that in those rooms, it would make it look like you just had this random floating light, which, it doesn't matter in general gameplay, because in general gameplay, you're not going to be looking up at the ceiling. But, it's just a detail that matters to me for the fly-throughs. So I did eventually go through and put in some of the longer pendant lights and like raise them up so they were tied to where the ceiling actually is. So that's something else that I want to check out when I go to do the fly-through footage. Another little thing was that I used a swatch of this painting here from Backyard Stuff that I never really used, because whenever I use that painting, my go-to is always that more neutral flower one. So it's kind of neat to get to try some different swatches of things that I normally would. And then we got this hutch here, so I added that in a nice light blue color. But that is it for the living area. So now we're on to the dining room, or not the dining room, we're on to the kitchen. And I wanted the kitchen, I was trying to keep the kitchen somewhat colorful, but it ends up being a little bit more neutral than the living area was, because I had some scrapped attempts at furnishing this where I went a little bit more colorful, and it's just in the kitchen, I didn't think that worked quite as well, because I wanted this house to have this fun color scheme, but I didn't want it to feel super unrealistic and out of the ordinary. So I feel like having brightly, bright purple counters or something along those lines it just didn't feel quite right with this house. So I decided to add the color into it by using that blue backsplash that came with Parenthood, although I do change that in a little bit for the one that came with, I think it was the one that came with that one patch a while ago, because I know I have a tendency to use this one a lot, so I think I'm doing that right here. So I just want to change it for something that still adds a little bit of that splash of color, but isn't something that I've used quite as much. And then we just have a few knickknacks here and there in the kitchen to add a little bit more of those pops of color to it. And this kitchen is fairly neat. There's a little bit of clutter on the counters, but it's all kind of organized and in its place. And overall, this house is fairly neat. The kids' rooms are a little bit messy, but the main areas are definitely a bit more neat and put together. I just wanted this house to have a little bit more of a neat and organized vibe to it. And as far as what the children's bedrooms are for, there is one that is for 2 toddlers, and then there's another one that's for a child. I thought about trying to cram in 2 beds into the child's bedroom, but I decided not to, because that room is 3x4 tiles, which is small, but it's not super cramped. So if I wanted to, I could fit another bed in there. But since the child's beds are bigger than the toddler beds, I wouldn't have had as much space for other things in the room, and I just wanted more space to add in things for the kids and toys and stuff like that. So when you're playing in this house, there's more usable items in it, because I was trying to challenge myself a little bit with this house and making a house this size for a family, but it wasn't intended to be some crazy challenge kind of a house where you're cramming a ton of things into a ridiculously small amount of space. I wanted something that was small but was still relatively easy to play in, so I just figured that was a better way to go with this build than, trying to cram another bed into it. But maybe in the future, I'll try to do a more challenging, more cramped family home, like trying to make a home for a family of 5 that's under 64 tiles, or maybe even under 32. I feel like that'd be really difficult. I've seen some other people do that, so I know it's possible, so maybe I'll do that in the future. No promises, but at this point I'm working on the parents' bedroom, and it is 4x4 tiles, so it's a pretty good size. I was able to fit a lot in here. We've got a dresser, we've got a bookcase. I also added a TV and a standing mirror. So this was made a lot easier by some of the smaller items that came with this pack. Like we do have that smaller dresser, and that bookshelf is a little bit smaller than usual. And I like that it does have that slot on the underside of it where you can put some other decorations. I don't know, that's kind of nice. So I just added some vases in there. And over here is where I put in the TV. I do need to play test this a little bit and make sure that Sims can get around that to the other side of the bed. So that is something that I'll check before I upload this build to the gallery. But I'm also just adding in some various baskets to make it look like that's where they store stuff. So, it's a small house, so they gotta put things where they can put things, but they try to keep a more organized feel to how they store things. So, they're kind of in baskets and stuff for the most part. It's just nice, pretty clutter. But I think that's about it for this bedroom. And this was also the point at which I realized I need to fix that hanging light. So at first I did that shorter one there, and then I did it off camera, but I did swap it out for the longer one and just raised up a little bit. So you might have seen me doing that with this room where I was just kind of placing it so it went to the right point on the roof, because I did figure out exactly how much I needed to raise that length of light to get it to that exact point. But here we're on the bathroom, and I just used the same tile that we used in the kitchen here, and I really like this bathroom. It just has this very fresh, light, airy feel to it. It's just a really, I just really like this combination of items and the new set that we did get with this pack. I really like this new painting that came with this pack. It's just really cute and has a really nice variety of different color swatches with it and different patterns and such. I've been wanting more paintings in that more simple, modern kind of a style. And paintings like plants are something that I always look forward to getting with packs. Like I always want to see what plants and paintings we get. I was hoping for more plants with this pack, but I mean, it's not plant stuff, so I can't complain that there's not a lot of plants with it. But while that succulent we got was cute and I like it, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more with this pack as far as plants go. But that is it for the bathroom. So now we're on to the toddler's bedroom. And with this bedroom, we continue the whole thing of having colorful, just having a colorful color scheme that we've had throughout this house so far. So we've got bright yellows on the walls, and then we've got different colors between the two beds, because I thought it would just look more fun to have different colors rather than using the same swatch for both of the beds. And it just kind of shows that these two toddlers maybe have a little bit of a different personality. They like different colors and want to reflect that through having different beds. And I just tried to fit in what I could as far as toys go. This is a fairly small room, so I wasn't able to fit in a ton, but I did size down that one dollhouse to cram that in there. And then we added that height chart there, which I thought would be really cute. Then we got this little stuffed dog over here. And to finish it all off, we got that rug, and now I'm just adding some shelves here to add various knickknacks to. I always like doing this in toddlers' bedrooms and just adding like different toys and little things like that. I just think it's really cute. Something else that came with this pack that I really like is that poof table. Although I find it kind of weird that it is a table. When I first saw that, I thought, oh, that's another poof type seat, but no, it's a table. I'm not sure why that decision was made exactly. I mean, I guess we have enough poof seating, so it doesn't hurt to have a table that's kind of like that. But I mean, it's just that's not the kind of service that I usually pick as a table. But that's just a minor annoyance that I had. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's fine as a table. It's kind of cool as a table, but that's it for the child's bedroom. So now, or not, that's it for the toddler's bedroom. Now we're on to the child's bedroom. Sorry if I'm getting a little loopy towards the end here. I am recording this after work, so it's like 8 p.m. and I've been up since 5:30 a.m. So I'm starting to lose steam a little bit and just misspeak and mix my words up and stuff like that. Like that always happens, but I just really wanted to have this video up while I'm on vacation, so I just wanted to go ahead and record this, and it's not too bad other than the little bit of loopiness here. But for this bedroom, I went with a purple and orange color scheme because I picked out this swatch for this bed here and I just really liked it and really wanted to carry that out through the rest of the room. So we've just got the desk there. Oh, I also used that poof table there next to the bed. It just like, it just looks weird to me as a table. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't seem like a table surface. You know, if you spill something on that, like if you're drinking water and you spill it on the table or something like that, like it's just, you're not gonna be able to wipe it up easily. I don't know if just imagining that is what's bugging me about it, but I mean, it's cute, so I don't want to complain too much. The nice thing about this build, though, was getting to use some other items that came with this pack that I hadn't got a chance to use yet. Like, I hadn't used the couches and chair prior to this build because I've just been using the Murphy bed combo couch. And then I also got to use the single bed, which, you know, didn't fit into the other builds because all I had room for was that Murphy bed. So that was kind of the cool thing about this build. But we are almost at the end of the building part of the video, so as usual, if you want to download this, there will be a link to do so in the description. There will be other stuff in there on how to find it in-game, and that's going to be it for me, so hope you enjoy the rest of the video.